And I want to welcome you all to our webinar on logistics and supply chain apprenticeships. This is part of Logistics and Supply Chain Skills Week. I'm Fergal Delaney. I'm from IPEX, the Supply Chain Management Institute. Just a word about Logistics and Supply Chain Skills Week. It's promoted by the Department of Transport in Ireland, and it's taking place this week, in other words, from yesterday, Monday, the 31st of March. And there's events all week until Saturday, the April the 5th. This nationwide initiative, Skills Week, will spotlight career opportunities, green and digital innovation, and Ireland's leadership in creating sustainable, resilient and supply chains. This afternoon's webinar, which will run from 2 until 3 o'clock, the next hour, is on supply chain and logistics apprenticeships. If you have any questions, please key the message into the chat. We'll try and get to them at the end of today's meeting. Otherwise, we'll get back to you by email or messaging if you have any specific questions that you want addressed. This meeting is being recorded and we've a busy agenda, so let's get into it straight away. There's our agenda for today. We're going to cover education and training pathways, career paths and opportunities, and then we're going to get into each of the apprenticeship programs, and that's the Logistics Associate Apprenticeship, Transport Operations and Commercial Driving Apprenticeship, and then 3 Supply Chain Apprenticeships at Diploma, Bachelor of Science and Master of Science level. And as I say, time at the end, we'll take any questions and answers. So what I'd like to do is introduce you to Michael O'Callaghan from IPEX. Michael is going to talk about education and training pathways. Michael, over to you.
Thanks, Fergal. Fergal's a colleague of mine within IPEX. So it's really good to be taking part in this webinar today on apprenticeships as part of the Logistics and Supply Chain Skills Week. So it's our third time doing it, which is really good. So just to introduce myself, I'm a director and instructor at IPEX, the Supply Chain Management Institute, and which is something I really enjoyed, the instruction part mainly, I think. But in addition to kind of our kind of certifications and certificates in supply chain logistics, we also use the Fresh Connection, and it has some sister products called the Cool Connection, the Blue Connection, and the Triple Connection. And this really is it's using supply chain simulation activities to enhance learning tools in the provision of supply chain training and certification courses. So one of the things we're doing this week with the Student Challenge as part of the Logistics and Supply Chain Skills Week on carbon footprint optimization, which is very relevant with regard to sustainability and circular economy. And we have 8 University and Institute of Technology teams, and it's Wednesday and Thursday evening of this week, using the Fresh Connection and focusing on carbon footprint optimization. So I have a particular interest, I suppose, in sustainability and circular economy, and the themes this week are green, diverse, and digital, and obviously sustainability is kind of a big part of our lives, as well as, I suppose, artificial intelligence and supply chain as well. So just maybe the next slide, please, Fergal. So the participating organisations really, I suppose, with the Freight Association of Ireland, Freight Trade Association of Ireland, and then obviously with they have a link into TU Dublin and MTU with regards to the Logistics Associate Apprenticeship. And they also have the Commercial Transport Operations Commercial Driving Apprenticeship, and it links into ATU, Atlantic Technological University. And obviously IPEX is very closely involved with University of Limerick and the 3 supply chain apprenticeships there. So it's really good to have these organisations kind of working together, delivering logistics and supply chain apprenticeships. And next slide, please, Fergal. So I suppose that this is kind of showing a typical supply chain structure. So I suppose we see here we've got upstream is normally towards suppliers, and downstream is normally towards customers, is the way it's explained. So we have our suppliers, and suppliers, I suppose, in the top left could be tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers. And we know if we look at Ireland and look at the many pharmaceutical and different kind of manufacturing organisations, a lot of manufacturing sites, and I suppose in terms of the supply chain moving forward towards customers, and say it's pharmaceutical, for example, that's maybe pharmaceutical products ending up in a pharmacy or a doctor's practice or a pharmacy and hospital, then it's probably a 3PL involved, a third-party logistics provider, moving the goods from the manufacturing plants through through the distribution channels to the big distribution centres and smaller DCs and depots and finally to the retail outlets and customers. And also on here as well, I suppose we can see to a certain extent there could be reverse logistics as well, which we don't really show as such. Products might be coming back from customers through reverse logistics and maybe being refurbished or resold perhaps. And also then I suppose we see some of the transportation modes. We see the ship and the truck and the train. I suppose other transportation modes being aircraft, pipeline, and drone as well. So as we know, I suppose since COVID-19, most people are aware now that supply chains have a lot of complexity and the importance of supply chains, which is really, really good. These figures, I suppose, on the right-hand side are from 2022, we see exports being 208.6 billion and imports being 141 billion. And obviously, supply chain logistics is very important in terms of moving those goods in and out of the country, which is really important. Next slide, please. Yeah, I suppose on here, then I suppose in terms of the wide variety of see this on the lifestyle as well, actually, but there's a wide variety of careers in logistics supply chain, and we see something here coming up. So, in terms of logistics being, I suppose, warehousing, transportation, distribution, a really big area. A supply chain, then I suppose, looking at planning and procurement and all other aspects of supply chain and organisation. So there's lots of wide variety of career opportunities in supply chain. Now, the idea, I suppose, of this week is to promote education, training, and supply chain and logistics careers. So, next slide, please. So here, I suppose that we see that in terms of educational pathways, in terms of numbers of logistics supply chain related courses, they've increased quite a bit between 2020 and 2023. So there's a full range of look at the QQI model in terms of level 1 to level 10. You see, I suppose, on this presentation, level 6, 7, 8, and 9, in terms of a certificate, diploma, degree, and master's degree in supply chain logistics, and a huge range of courses available. And then we see registrations, which we'll see later during the presentations. Registrations for logistics and supply chain apprenticeships has really gone up quite a bit, and I'll probably have the 2024 figures as probably the third one as well. So again, there's huge kind of change taking place, and apprenticeships now in logistics supply chain are really, really popular and very much in demand. So next slide, please. So this is quite an interesting slide, I suppose, really, because it's looking at the whole world of sustainability. And we can see here, I suppose, looking at the left and looking at the right, that ethical and sustainable sourcing becoming important, that companies that investors and shareholders want to see big companies kind of, I suppose, being good in terms of sustainability and circular economy and, no child labour and so on. So ethical and sustainable sourcing is becoming much more important in the whole procurement area. And then the elimination of harmful materials from product supply chain. So quite a bit happening with regard to manufacturers talking to tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 suppliers to try and remove harmful materials and look for substitute materials, perhaps. And I've seen a bit of that take place. Again, we see a lot of, in terms of reduced excess packaging, a big movement to reduce excess packaging throughout supply chains and to remove that wasteful packaging that we don't need. Packaging is quite important for transporting goods to make sure there's no damage, but we don't need the excess packaging. Again, I suppose shifting to more sustainable means of transportation. So big change taking place there, and Aidan will probably talk about that a little bit. And there's a seminar tomorrow on sustainability and decarbonisation and so on. And we see a large change taking place with regard to sustainable means of transportation. And then shifting to renewable energy fuels ties in with that, and there's a big movement towards HVO and renewable fuels, electric and so on. So you can see it with regard to the post office or people delivering maybe that last mile delivery in terms of DPD and so on, electric vans and so on. So big change taking place in transportation. Then on the right hand side, I suppose, consolidating shipments to reduce emissions. We want to make sure there's full truck beds going out and so on. And the circular economy is quite important because if you look forward 50 years, a lot of the rare earth minerals are going to disappear. So it's very important to, circular economy is really important. So I think Apple, for example, are quite good at bringing back mobile phones and taking out those rare earth minerals and elements and recycling those. And again, reducing waste. So again, every organization is trying to, I suppose, reduce waste throughout supply chain and logistics areas. And again, increasing transparency on sustainability. So there is this CSRD directive in Europe. So the idea, I suppose, really is to be more transparent about sustainability and show that people are going towards kind of net zero emission goals over a certain period of time. And then the last one's quite interesting, adopting smart digital practices. And there's actually kind of there's a supply chain, there's a skills mobility supply chain skill net knowledge day in Rotterdam Europort this Saturday. And I think Rotterdam Europort is one of the first ports in Europe to go fully digital. So digitalization is revolutionizing the logistics and supply chain sector. It's a big area of change. So next slide, please. And yeah, so this, I suppose, leads into digitalization. So it is a quite large change, which I suppose the point I was making there on Rotterdam Europort. So I think digital skills in a recent survey count for 3 of the top 15 skills required in online job adverts in the logistics supply chain sector. So digitalization is digital skills being very important. And according to Solus, 11% of reported difficult to fill vacancies were with transport and logistics companies. So it's difficult to find drivers in particular. So there's a big challenge there in terms of certain kind of jobs within the logistics and supply chain. So again, a big opportunity for new employment in logistics and supply chain. That's good. And next slide, please. So hopefully I'm not going too quick. So I suppose the logistics and supply chain sector needs kind of more young people. So the idea of this week is to go out through in-person events and webinars to as many people as possible, and to encourage young people in second level or third level and in the workplace, and in particular women and diverse groups to join the supply chain sector. So we see here that the figures are gradually going up, which is really good. And I think women's supply chain is a big change taking place. And I find with the course I give myself, there's more and more, some courses more women than men. So it's a big change that we're seeing. It's a really good change to see. So it's lots of opportunity for young people and all types of people interested in supply chain. And next slide, please. So this one here is quite interesting. It's a bit hard to see, but I suppose on the columns we see kind of key elements of supply chain. Plan, source, make, deliver, return, and enable, and so on. And then on the rows, then we see the kind of we see associates, then we then see specialist, manager, leader, and executive. So, and then if you think of the QQI model in terms of level 6, 7, 8, and 9, they can be applied to associate, specialist, manager, and level. So if we take kind of, for example, make in the middle, and we look at the production operative, the production operative can work hard and maybe do a level 6 course, and then maybe become a production supervisor. And then I suppose after a number of years, become maybe a production manager, and then eventually become a production director. So there is a pathway in terms of from starting at the ground floor level and starting with a level 6 course and working towards a level 7, 8, and 9. So I think the LAA is logistics associate apprenticeship is level 6, and the commercial driving apprenticeship, and then on specialist then there's a level 7 in University of Limerick supply chain apprenticeship. There's also a Bachelor of Science in Supply Chain and level 8, and there's a Master of Science in Supply Chain as well. So today, I suppose we've got 5 different apprenticeships and just the supply chain, and they can help people move up the career path. And just the last point then, I suppose, really is if you look at the driver there on the kind of deliver side, the driver can become perhaps a transport scheduler after going through a certain course, perhaps, and years of experience, and then maybe take another course and become a logistics manager, and then after a certain period of time of experience and maybe then another qualification, become a logistics director. So really, there's lots of opportunity for in all aspects of supply chain to progress from where you start, I suppose, all the way up to a director level. So I'd like to finish there and pass on to my colleague Aidan Flynn, the CEO of the Freight Transport Association of Ireland, who will speak next on career paths and opportunities.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks very much for that, Michael. Yeah, Aidan Flynn's my name. I'm the Chief Executive for the Freight Transport Association of Ireland. I'm also the chair of two Earn as You Learn apprenticeships, which you'll hear about from Anna shortly, the Logistics Associate Apprenticeship and the Transport Operations Commercial Driving Apprenticeship. Go on to the next slide there, Fergal. Just a point to follow on from what Michael was saying initially, education is so important. It's probably stating the obvious, but when we're looking at turbulent times and indeed in terms of a transformative change, which is driven by lots of different things, but geopolitical issues or tariffs being put on stuff, but uh, effective, but more importantly, looking at technological revolution and technological developments, decarbonisation, um, the requirement for education and training, lifelong learning is massively important. And I think the apprenticeships are a fantastic resource. And one of the great achievements of the last couple of Irish governments, and certainly from our own perspective in FTA Ireland, skills shortage has probably been the number one issue over the last 10 or so years. So it's a perennial issue. So we're always looking for solutions to the skills shortage. And one of the key things that we've always promoted is that employers must participate in those solutions, because the freight distribution logistics sector is competing with every other sector which also has skills shortages. So the employers themselves are not just competing within their own sector, they're competing with lots of other sectors. And actually, the logistics supply chain skills group grew out of work that we in the industry were doing around Brexit, linked with the Forfos report on education that was published in 2015 and the Addressing Future AIDS report that was published in 2018. The Logistics and Supply Chain Skills Group was then established in 2019. And following on from that, we've had a number of great things happen, I suppose. One is the haulage strategy. The government went out to public consultation and they published their road haulage strategy a number of years ago. And the work the Logistics Supply Chain Skills Group does have a number of action points on strategy, one of which is the delivery of a skills week. And this is the third skills week, which is really, really good. And particularly in relation to the apprenticeships that are linked to supply chain. For a long time, all of us in the freight distribution logistics sector might have said, well, what is the state doing to help us deliver solutions? And these Earn as You Learn apprenticeships are state funded. The driver apprenticeship, for instance, you get your education supported by the state, but also the on-road driver training element. So it's a really positive piece that has come out of all the work that we've been doing throughout the number of years. The group provides a forum for practical action and collaboration aimed at addressing the skills needs of the sector, and that is really, really important for us. The other thing which it does is the collaboration and engagement of key stakeholders in the industry working together is always a positive thing and delivers for the industry as well. So our priorities are to raise awareness of the freight distribution sector, work on reducing the skills shortage, promote careers and skills development, which we are continuing to do. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to kind of highlight a couple of things here, just to put things in context, and obviously to try and promote sector, and that it has a diverse, challenging career opportunities for people, and it's busy. There is lots and lots of job opportunities, and when we compare trade in goods volumes, say between the 1970s, 1990s, and 2020s or so, we have experienced substantial growth, reflecting the transformation from an agrarian economy that one is focused on agriculture to a high-tech export driven nation. And it's amazing how that has happened. But when we look at the volumes, and this was interesting, particularly on the work that we were doing in relation to Brexit, is trying to understand where goods go to, where they come from, how resilient is the industry, what type of data is available in the industry to understand it. And I think one of the big focus points at the moment is on data and that data knowledge. But the volume of goods exported in 1975 was approximately 27% of 1990 volumes, while in 2013, I beg your pardon, it was about 4.6 times higher than in 1990. So it kind of highlights the change in the industry that's happened over the years. But also when we look into the future, our population is going to continue to grow. And where you have a growing population, you have a growing need and demand for freight services, which is a good thing. Next slide, Fergal. Well, thank you. So just in summary, which is particularly relevant given Liberation Day is coming up tomorrow. The US market, as you can see, is quite important for Irish exports, 54 billion exported and 23 billion imported. But we have big markets elsewhere. And I suppose that's the point of the resilience of the Irish supply chain in 2023. And certainly the advice that we hear in the news now for exporters is to look at other emerging markets and to continue to build that resilience. So whilst there can be shocks, political shocks, there could be shocks like COVID, there can be shocks into the future. Developing that resilience is really important, and also linked with how good that resilience is how good the workforce is, and making sure that every business is adequately resourced to be able to deal with these issues, both in terms of numbers, but also in terms of education and learning as well. So next slide. Michael stole my thunder on this particular slide, although his looked a lot better than mine. But again, it's just that's the diversity and variety of roles within the industry. And Anna will tell you again about the type of employers and various things involved in the logistics sector. Every single business and industry in this country requires logistics and logistics services. And from low-level introductory pieces where people can, get your foot on the ladder, get your work experience, perhaps look at additional apprenticeship courses, and continue that lifelong learning can lead you in any direction you want to go, and you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. There is lots and lots of opportunity. Next slide, please. So looking at the numbers, I suppose, thanks to Sulis for this information, but Q3 2024, there was over 118,000 people employed in transport and storage, which is around 4.2% of the total national employment average. And 21% of that was female, which is great. And I think that is another key piece of the work that we're doing, particularly on the HGV driver apprenticeship, is trying to attract young people into the industry, but also women. And there is great opportunities and opportunities for women, particularly in the role of drivers, because there is, as we find out, there is loads of different truck driving jobs out there. And the key point of this is to be able to continue that education and understanding of the type of roles within the industry. But there's key areas: industry, health, wholesale and retail, accommodation, food and construction are kind of key areas. There was, I think, 3,500 extra females in the year 2024, in addition, which was really good news. Next slide. Yeah, I've covered that. Go on to the next one. So this is the final slide for me. Just in summary, I suppose there is massive opportunity, and industry is supporting career progression. So any employers out there, really keep involved, promote your services, look at apprenticeships and all other types of training and upskilling pieces. because we have to build that resilience and attract younger people and look after the loyalty of our existing staff as well to ensure the progression careers, but also the sustainability of the business is massively important in terms of supporting the competitiveness of the Irish logistics and supply chain. And it is great to see level courses being available, and I think it's one of the real positive outcomes of the logistics supply chain skills group. And you can see all the publications on the gov.ie website, and collating in one place all the higher education courses as well as the apprenticeship programs in one place is a really good positive move. And I do think working together delivers for the industry. It is relatively new, and we need to keep going because, as I mentioned earlier, there is transformative change coming on, and we all need to support each other in terms of understanding what that means, not just for ourselves, but for businesses and the future as well. So keep working together. And the apprenticeships, I suppose, are one of the kind of key areas that, you know, I've a keen interest in, particularly seeing the progress of the logistics associate apprenticeship, and keen to see the driver apprenticeship grow in support and success into the future as well. So I'll hand you over to Anna, where you can hear a bit more about both of those apprenticeship programs. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm delighted to be here. So my name is Anna Gorecka, and I also work for the Freight Transport Association Ireland. And my current role is the Apprenticeship Project Manager for the QQI Level 6 Logistics Associate Apprenticeship and also a Commercial Driving Apprenticeship. Next slide there, Virgil. So these are by contact information, but overall we have a dedicated website for the apprenticeships we're going to be discussing today. So all information and contact information would be available on our websites. Next slide. So in terms of the apprenticeships we're going to be discussing today, are the new apprenticeship programs that have been developed post 2017, and these are non-craft apprenticeships. So just to give you an idea, currently in Ireland you have over 70 apprenticeship programs available, and these include the craft and non-craft apprenticeship programs. And at this point, there are over 9,000 employers that are using the apprenticeship scheme, I suppose, to attract new talent into their business. But also another avenue employers can take is the avenue of upskilling their own existing workforce, also on the apprenticeship programs. And you have currently over 27,000 apprentices undertaking different apprenticeship programs here in Ireland. So apprenticeships are a proven way to grow and attract a talent within a business. Next slide, Virgil. So just in terms of the background of the LAA apprenticeship, the QQI Level 6 is very much the development process, and where the idea came from to set up and establish this program, it very much relates to the very two important reports issued in the past by the government or on behalf of the government by the Future Skill Needs. And those reports highlighted, you know, that between the period of 2015 and 2025, there will be additional over 45,000 jobs created within the logistics and supply chain sector here in Ireland. And the sector has been struggling to attract new talent. A lot of it is to do with that people have no clue what it is or what you're going to end up when you work in the logistics and supply industry. So through setting up the apprenticeships, you know, we want to promote careers in the sector, and apprenticeship, the QQI Level 6 LAA creates an entry route. And also one of the recommendations made in those reports was for the industry to set up an entry program, an apprenticeship that allow people who have no background in logistics and supply chain but would like to pursue a career in the sector, would allow them to enter the sector and get a qualification relevant to the industry, get on-the-job training, plus, you know, also allowing them to get educated and get a relevant to the industry qualification at the end of the program. Next slide. Yeah, so in terms of the background of the Logistics Associate Apprenticeship, so as I've mentioned, we are a non-craft apprenticeship program, and we were the first apprenticeship program that was introduced and launched for the logistics and supply chain sector here in Ireland. So our program was validated back in 2018, and already the same year in September, we welcomed the first class of logistics apprentices. So initially we had 27 apprentices in the program and 17 employers who were approved to deliver the training part of the program. Next slide. So the unique piece about the new non-craft apprenticeship program is very much that they are led and driven by the sector. So all the decisions that are being made about how the apprenticeship run, the structure of it, the content of the program are very much, all those decisions are being made by the employers, by the employing organizations, not as such as by education providers. But so we kind of represent the consortium steering group for the Logistics Associate Apprenticeship. So we have a mix of employers and also professional bodies that are representing the sector are on the consortium. We meet on a quarterly basis to review the meeting and to review the program and ensure that it stays relevant in terms of its content and so on. Next slide. So the Logistics Associate Apprenticeship have been now running successfully for the last 7 years. And at this point, we have 140 companies that are registered and approved to deliver the training part of this program within their organizations. We couldn't display all the companies we work with in terms of this apprenticeship, but as you can see, they represent every link of the logistics and supply chain. So we have companies who are specializing in manufacturing goods, companies who specialize in shipping, freight forwarding, distribution, warehousing, air freight, sea freight, and so on. And many of those are global companies. So what it says is that there are amazing opportunities to enter the sector through the LAA program and get ahead of your career and so on with the LAA. And so far, within the last 7 years, we have enrolled 441 apprentices. So there's a huge interest in the program. We have still new employers joining the program, and there's a huge interest among the candidates. They're looking actually to enter the program as well. Next slide, Fergal. So in terms of the program, how it works, so the LAA, it's a 2-year program. As I mentioned, it's a program that creates an entry route into the sector. So anybody who has no background or anybody who would like to change a career, or if it's a student who is going to be doing his Leaving Cert exams and looking for the next step, what they would like to do, the LAA would be, I suppose, the ideal route into the sector. And it's a 2-year program. An apprentice who successfully completes the LAA after 2 years get awarded with the QQI Level 6 higher certificate in logistics. The program, the education part of the program is offered by MTU Core Campus and also TU Dublin City Campus. So as I said, the beauty about the apprenticeship is that it's open to everybody, really, regardless of background and age. And really on the program, we have a mix of candidates. We have school graduates, mature students, career changers, and also employers place their own existing employees on the program for a qualification piece, as I've mentioned. Next slide. So we have a vast, I suppose, range of logistics modules that are being delivered as part of this program by the university. There are interactive presentations and exercises, case studies, and also there are some visits to logistics companies as well. So our apprentices do experience that as well. And, what's really unique about the apprenticeships that they create this environment and they create this blended learning approach. When you really, when you apprentice, you really learn by physically doing things. When you are based with a company throughout a period of 2 years, you learn by being assigned to day-to-day work duties and so on. And also you go to university 1 day a week, where you learn theory behind the practice, and theory you learn at the university, you apply within your work environment. So it's really easy for the candidates as well. I suppose it's easier, I might say, to do assignments, to actually, prepare for the exams, because the things they're learning at the university, they do experience this on the day-to-day of their work experience during the apprenticeship. Also, another benefit for the apprentices, they're being assigned with the work-based mentor, which is an expert within the employer organization that will guide them, support them them through their journey. And for benefits for the companies is that actually there's a certified mentor training program provided by the university to employers, to new mentors, to support them. They understand their role within the process and so on. So there's lots of benefits for all parties involved. Next slide. These are the modules you would be studying at the university when you join the LAA. In the year one, it's the Introduction to Logistics and Supply Chain Management, Customer Service, Communication and Professional Skills, Customs and International Trade, Supply Chain Performance Management, and Logistics Information Systems. And also in terms of so that's 1 day a week when you go to college, 4 days a week when you're with employer. You basically, as I've mentioned, you learn by physically doing things on the job and so on. And during that phase, you complete reflective journal. So you record what you learn on the job. In the year two modules are road, air, sea freight, logistics, distribution, warehousing, and quantitative analysis and Excel. And the big part of the year two would be that apprentices will be completing a work-based project that will relate to the work they do for a company and so on. So it's a very rich program, covers all aspects of logistics apart from the rail freight, which doesn't it's not that big in Ireland at this point. So I think it's less than 1% of goods are being moved by rail. So our consortium decided that these are the most relevant modules that should be included in the program. Next slide. So with the entry requirements for employers, very straightforward. They go through the registration process with SOLAS, which is the Further Education and Training Authority. We make all the arrangements and we assist employers to sign up. It's a once-off process, so very straightforward. For candidates who are considering to enter the Logistics Associate Apprenticeship, the entry requirements are that you need to pass in English and Maths in the Living Cert at Orden level. So that's the minimum requirement. But for those who hold, any other qualification at level 5 or higher, they can also enter the program through this route. And the final one is also for recognition of prior learning, and that applies to mature students, to somebody who is 23 years old at the time of enrollment or older. So there are different routes in terms of enrollment into the program. Next slide. How it works in terms of the fees and funding. So the beauty about the apprenticeship is that not only the apprentices are being paid, full-time salary during the apprenticeship, they go to university and there are no tuition fees. So tuition fees are funded by the Higher Education Authority. So candidates access fair level education through our apprenticeship. The only, I suppose, cost to the apprentice is the annual registration fee. Currently, it's €800 per year, payable to the university. In many cases, employers do cover that fee on behalf of the apprentice. But like I said, you're being paid, full-time salary, and pretty much your education is free in terms of this apprenticeship. And also employers who decide to get involved in the apprenticeship, they also can avail of financial support in form of the state grant of €2,000 per apprentice they employ per year. Okay, next slide. Something I've already mentioned, when you become an apprentice, you getting, contract of employment, fixed term contract for a period of 2 years, you're being paid a full-time salary, which is set by the employer, and that's something you can negotiate with the employer. You also have the same rights as any other employee within the business, but that's, benefits for the candidates. They're being paid 1 day while they learn. Next slide. So overall benefits to companies that or businesses that they get engaged is, as I've mentioned, apprenticeships are a proven way to attract new talent into the business. They offer also upskilling and career progression opportunities for existing staff. They increase pool of qualified people within the business. They do help companies to build loyalty among staff, and they help them with succession planning and also with retaining staff. And majority of apprentices who complete the program, they stay with the host employer. So really, it does benefit employers a lot. And this program is very much built around work-related experience and work-specific project. There's a free certified mentor training provided for mentors in their organization. It's a tuition-free program, and also there is a state funding available for employers. Next slide. For apprentices, really attractive package. You know, as I've mentioned, you getting a qualification relevant to the industry. It's a QQI level 6 award, higher certificate in logistics, international recognized qualification. And what's the unique piece about the program is that it allows you to also progress after 2 years to level 7 or even level 8 degree program. So it allows you to enter the year 3 of the 4-year program, which would be the bachelor degree in supply chain management at the University TU Dublin, for example. But also you can progress to the apprenticeship programs, which Fergal is going to cover the level 7. You earn as you learn, you're accessing third level your education. So you are also going to college. And, you know, you get a 2-year employment contract, which, as I said, towards the end of the apprenticeship, you most likely will get a full-time employment out of this apprenticeship. And you're getting, you know, job experience and workplace skills, and there are excellent career opportunities in the sector, as Aidan mentioned, and also Michael covered before. Next slide. So for those who would like to, you know, looking into get on the program, we have a dedicated website where we have a job section, latest news section. So all the jobs we advertise that are currently available, you know, for the LAA would be advertised on our website. And anybody who is interested, I recommend to go on the LA website, go to the apprentice section when you can register your interest to become an apprentice. Literally takes 2 seconds. Following your registration, we will email you the information pack with list of registered employers, and we'll also notify you by email about the companies who have an openings and they're currently recruiting for the LAA program. Next slide. Yeah, pretty much we're open. So we have intake in September once a year. So now a lot of companies are looking to recruitment drive. So I think it's a good time for you guys, if anybody's interested, to get involved. Either you're running the business or either you're a candidate looking to, you know, get started in logistics and supply chain industry. I certainly would advise you to explore more and consider the LAA program. Thank you. And I just briefly will move on to another apprenticeship Aidan touch base on. It's the Transport Operation Commercial Driving Apprenticeship. It's been developed in collaboration of Freight Transport Association Ireland and ATU in Sligo. And this apprenticeship is one of, I suppose, key measures to address the skills gaps and need within the industry, and also allow or help the industry to attract new talent into the commercial driving roles. Next slide. This program was launched in 2022 in ATU Sligo, and currently we're going to have our 3rd intake in September as well. So also it's a good time to visit our website, register if you're interested to pursue this apprenticeship, and we'll provide you with all relevant information and support you with getting a placement. Next slide. The same I've mentioned about the new apprenticeships, they're very much industry driven. It's exactly the same in terms of the transport operation commercial driving apprenticeship. Next slide, Virgo. So in terms of how program is structured, it's very much similar to the LAE program. It's a 2-year program that also leads to the business degree at level 6, QQI level 6. It's the higher certificate in transport operation and commercial driving apprenticeship. And also it allows candidates to gain C and CE license and also a driver CPC. So it's a very, very attractive program for candidates, and also helps businesses to attract new talent and also upskill their own workforce. Next slide. So in terms of the program, within the period of 2 years, you will be studying at the college 1 day a week, the same way like with the LAA. Within the 1st year of the apprenticeship, you will be also undertaking the driving lessons to drive rigid vehicles and to gain the license to allow you to drive in such category vehicles. In the year 2, you will be undertaking driving lessons to drive the Arctic vehicles as well. And when you complete the program after 2 years, you're getting a higher certificate in business and transport services, also licenses to drive heavy goods vehicles. Next slide. It's also, you know, in terms of the funding, the program is the same. The education part of the program is funded by the government. Apprentices are being paid, you know, full-time salary. There's a registration fee payable by the apprentice to the university of €800, the same like the LAA. But, very attractive package for the candidates. You're not only going to university, you get to study, you get your qualification, you're getting licenses as well, which are also funded. So really, really attractive package for those who are considering to pursue a career and being a commercial driver. Next slide. So what do apprentices, CDAP apprentices do? So within your apprenticeship, most likely it's more like hands-on apprenticeship program, where the LAA is more the business side, where you're going to be based in the office. With the CDAP, very much your day will look like that you're going to be team up with another professional driver. You will be on the road, learning routes. You will be liaising with customers. You will be studying. Apologies, I have a 1 second. Sorry about this. 1 second.
Bear with us. We'll be back on air in a minute.
Apologies, I just had to lock the door because of the dog. Yeah, you also would be learning route planning. So you might be based in the department or in the transport office, where you're going to be learning how to plan routes or learning about the vehicle maintenance systems and so on. But also, you, as I mentioned, you will be liaising with customers on a day-to-day basis. You might be based in the warehouse, learning picking stock and so on. Next slide, Virgil. So some of the modules, they all listed on our website. I know that we have some more presentations to be done, but all the information about the modules that are being covered on the CDAP are on the dedicated website. So we can just move on to the next one. Yeah, and next one, Fergal. So what are the entry requirements for the candidates? A candidate to enroll into the program needs to be 18 years old, at the commencement. So the program is starting mid-September. That's our next intake. They also must hold a B license, to enter the program. And also before they're going to be entering and enrolling, they need to do a medical test, apply for the learner permit, and so on. But we will liaise with the candidates, with the apprentices, and we will guide them through that process as well. It's also open to mature students. There's also an option to enter the program through recognition of prior learning. Next slide. Apart from the entry criteria, I have already mentioned additional criteria are pretty much the same as LAA. You need to achieve pass in English and maths in the Living Cert, or else if you hold QQL level 5, you can also enter the program through different paths, I suppose. Yeah, next one. Yeah, as I mentioned, just like LAA, we have a dedicated website. We have, you can contact us. The contact information are on the website. We have all guides for employers and for apprentices available for download on the website. So yeah, all information is there, but you are more than welcome to contact us also. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Anna. My name is Fergal Delaney. I'm IPEX Marketing Director. There's my contact details if you want any questions or comments about the next 10 minutes that I'll cover in terms of supply chain apprenticeships. Just drop me a line at fergal.delaney@ipex.ie. So in terms of supply chain apprenticeships, I'm going to just talk about what they're about, who the partners are in the supply chain apprenticeship, some of the program essentials. I'll talk about the courses themselves, and I'll talk about the community of practice. So the goals of the apprenticeship, well, similar to what Anna and Aidan were saying, it's about upskilling the economy. It's about providing structured education and training. And the key thing is it's combining workplace and institutional learning. And it's a strong collaboration between business and education via consortiums, consortia as they're called, to ensure that the programs are relevant to today's industry needs, and very strong funding support, similar to what Anna talked about from Solus in the HEA. So IPEX is a premium partner of ASCM, which is the worldwide industry supply chain body for professional qualifications. So IPEX is a premium partner of ASCM. We're the consortium lead for supply chain apprenticeships in Ireland. We have been in existence since the early 80s. And as I say, we affiliate with APICS, the Association for Supply Chain Management. The University of Limerick is the delivery partner for the program. They are called the coordinating partner. The University of Limerick ensures that the qualifications are certified. They adhere to an approved curriculum. They accredit and award the apprenticeships, and they ensure that the programs are robust, that they are industry leading. These programs are fully online. The only requirement for on the ground attendance at these courses is 1 day for initial getting to know you with the UL, and then 2 days at the end of a first year of the 2-year program for a summer school. All other training is virtual in these programs. So what do you need to do to participate in one of these supply chain apprenticeship programs? Well, again, recognition of prior learning. If you have experience, relevant experience, it will be taken into account, but there are minimum academic requirements for the level 7, level 8, and level 9 programs. Second bullet, very important, you need to have a contract of employment for 2 years or more with a registered employer in Ireland. So you need to be employed in Ireland to undertake this program. There is company support, so the company will support you and provide you a mentor in the program. Employers and applicants must complete the UL and SOLAS validation approval process. So there is some small print, but the key points are those at the top of the slide in terms of your employment contract. Your on-the-job learning requirements, so you're expected to engage in on-the-job learning to apply theory to practice. You have projects and assignments, and you apply your learning to adapting business processes in your job. And similar to what Anna was saying in her presentation about the LAA apprenticeships, the fees per year are heavily subsidized and work out at about 900 euro fees per year for level 7 or 8 or 9 programs if you're applicable for those programs. And the apprenticeships for the supply chain, you see them on the right-hand side of that chart, they feed into a broader roadmap of available apprenticeships, which also include level 9 programs for Lean Six Sigma or for equipment systems engineering. And for those of you who actually get to the master's level, there is the opportunity to continue your apprenticeship learning up to doctorate level in terms of a principal engineer. So you can undertake a complete training program from level 7 supply chain associate all the way up to principal engineer while being supported as an apprentice. So let's look at the programs themselves. First of all, the level 7 supply chain associate, which is a diploma in supply chain. This is a 2-year program. It's got about 20 modules. You look at the curriculum on the right-hand side. I'm not going to go through each of those. 20 modules over 6 semesters, so 2 years. You complete 2 in-company projects. You undertake a summer school in person for 2 days at the end of year 1. And the average study that's expected from you outside of the classes is about 12 hours per week. The supply chain specialist at BSc level, in other words, this is level 8. Again, it's a 2-year program. There's 19 modules. It's over 6 semesters, and it gains 120 ECTS credits. Again, there's 2 in-company projects, and again, you're expected to attend the summer school in year 1, which runs in May. And again, the average estimated study hours per week outside of the online classes is 12 hours per week. Curriculum on the right-hand side. You can see if you compared the curriculum, I know I'm going through this quite quickly, if you compared the curriculum on the diploma to the degree is getting slightly more strategic in its supply chain curriculum. And finally, the 3rd program of the supply chain apprenticeships is at manager level. It's supply chain manager. It's a full MSc program, and it's at level 9 in the curriculum levels. This is actually 2 years. It's about 2 years and a number of months. The Level 9 Master's program, there's 10 modules over these 6 semesters, and it attracts 60 ECTS credits. But there is also, as a master's program, there is a thesis where you can gain 30 ECTS credits. And again, you're expected to attend the summer school in year 1 for 2 days. And the expected hours study per week through the online courses, excluding the thesis itself, is about 15 hours study per week. And again, the curriculum is even more sort of strategic and high level. If you look on the right-hand side, you'll see that your thesis part 1 and your thesis part 2 is part of your curriculum for the 2-year program. So one of my roles and one of the IPEX leadership roles in the apprenticeship is to manage the community of practice. This is what keeps the apprenticeship fully grounded in business and ensures that you're not just getting academic training, you're getting a program which is best in class in terms of its linkage to industry. And that's what we in IPEX attempt to do. And what we do is we run a community of practice with a series of master classes, which includes monthly Teams webinars run on Microsoft Teams, evening events every month from world-class speakers on topics of interest to supply chain. These are evening sessions. They are world-renowned speakers on topics that we source from our links with ASCM globally. People have an opportunity to engage in Q&A with these speakers. The sessions are recorded for occasions when people can't get to the sessions. And the top sort of themes that we've focused on in these programs in the past have been on leadership and sustainability. If you look at the right-hand side, some of the topics we've actually conducted in the past few months are on corporate strategy and governance, mobile robots in warehousing, supply chain excellence in Ireland's aerospace industry, conflict and negotiation in the supply chain, and inventory optimization with a focus on digital twins. Also, as part of our community of practice, we expect students to attend a number of site visits through the year. The logos on the page summarize some of the site visits we've done over the past few years. The image in the middle is the most recent physical site visit we made to Kumi, a precision engineering company based in Limerick, and there's some of the apprentices who attended the event. And another important part of the community of practice summer school is the summer school, which is 2 days on site in UL. It runs in May every year. And what we've done in the past is we've run a full 1-day supply chain sustainability simulation game. And our topics last year for the 2024 version of the summer school was we had speakers face-to-face with the diploma degree and master's students who talked to us about Dell in the supply chain, talked about the aviation industry in Ireland, talked about marketing in the food and bev sector, and also on the days of the site visit because we had people coming from around the country, we had site visits to 2 of the local leading supply chain companies in the country. And I suppose a key thing about the supply chain apprenticeships, it's all worth it in the end when you get to the level of qualification and formal graduation. The University of Limerick does its graduations in style, and it's a big day out for the apprenticeships when either diploma, degree, or masters when they get to the end of their program. And this is an image from just this January's supply chain specialists. In other words, the BSc level 8 degree holders before they went and got their scrolls from the president of the University of Limerick. Just some facts and figures before we finish. Well, we've well over 100 apprentices engaged in the 3 programs at the moment. In fact, the number is approaching 130. And each of these apprentices has an in-company mentor who helps them through their program. We've more than 88 employers providing those apprenticeships across the country. And the mentors who are mentoring the apprenticeships also get facilitation from the University of Limerick to engage the mentors into what's expected of them and how they can mentor the apprentices. The intake for the diploma and the degree, these programs start in September. For the Masters, the Level 9 program, they start in January. So registration is effectively always open for these programs. But for anyone on the call who's interested, if you think you're suitable for diploma or degree, that's starting in September. The Masters program, the MSc, is starting in January. And there's 2 student networking days on campus, as I say, for students who want to learn more about life in UL. That's it from me in terms of the supply chain apprentices. As I say, if you have any questions on this, please drop me a line at fergal.delaney@ipix.ie. Or if you can't remember that, just go in, send an email to apprenticeships@ul.ie. We've got time for a few questions. I'll just have a look at the Q&A if I don't get to any of these. In terms of, I've answered 2 of the questions so far. Dear sir, greetings from India. I'm looking for my son. He is 20 years old, very much interested in global logistics. Could you actually send me a message, an email to my email address, and I can follow up with you? From Sarah. Sarah, hi. Could you please let me know whether it can only apply for people working in Ireland? For the supply chain apprenticeships that I've talked about, yes, you need to have a work contract with an Irish company. Although it may well be that you're based elsewhere, but if your contract is with an Irish company, then that's what you need to be applicable for a program. Anna, have you any comment on the LAA apprenticeships on working in Ireland?
Yeah, so candidates who are interested in enrolling, they certainly have to hold a visa that allow them to work full-time in Ireland. And as you mentioned, Fergal, they need to, that's kind of a first step to also secure a work placement. So you need to be allowed to work full-time. The student visa that allows students to work 20 hours during the university year is not suitable. So as I mentioned, it has to be a visa that allows you to work full-time in Ireland to participate in the apprenticeship programs.
Okay. Emmanuel asks, would there be an e-certificate of participation? The answer, Emmanuel, to this is for the supply chain apprenticeships, you actually get a formal degree scroll from UL. Anna, on the LAA apprentices?
Yeah, it's the same. The award is, or you're being awarded the QQL Level 6 Higher Certificate in Logistics, and that's awarded by the Technological University Dublin.
Okay. We have a whole bunch of questions from Birender. Birender, do you mind if I follow up with these offline? I may need to have Anna and or Aidan and or Michael involved in these. I don't want to keep people on the call because you've got 6 comments there. So obviously you've given this some thought and we'll get back to you.
Perfect.
And I think that covers the questions. As I say, if anyone has any other questions, just use the contact details that Michael, Aidan, Anna, and myself supplied. Drop us a line. I'll come back on these questions that haven't been answered verbally. And we're now just past our end time. And I want to thank everyone for joining. And many thanks to Michael, to Aidan, and to Anna for participating in the agenda as well. So to my fellow presenters, unless you have any questions or comments, we'll draw to a close here. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Bye.
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 Yeah, thanks very much. Bye-bye.